the wise man sets bounds even to his innocent desires. Common sense among men of fortune is rare. No wicked man knows happiness, and least of all the seducer of others. There is nothing which power cannot believe of itself, when it is praised as equal to the gods. For women's tears are but the sweat of eyes. Dat veniam corvus, vexat censura columbus. Censure acquits the raven, but pursues the dove. But who guards the guardians? This is his first punishment, that by the verdict of his own heart no guilty man is acquitted. From the disease of one the whole flock perishes. The tongue is the vile slave's vilest part. No one ever suddenly became depraved. It is unmistakable madness to live in poverty only to die rich. No one rejoices more in revenge than woman. A sound mind in a sound body is a thing to be prayed for. Where have you ever found that men who stopped short after the perpetration of a single crime? We do not commonly find men of superior sense amongst those of the highest fortune. Nothing is so intolerable as a woman with a long purse. So much greater is our thirst for glory than for virtue. Every fault of the mind becomes more conspicuous and more guilty in proportion to the rank of the offender. Majestic mighty wealth is the holiest of our gods. It is difficult not to write satire. One path alone leads to a life of peace. The path of virtue. Give them bread and circuses and they will never revolt. Rare is the union of beauty and purity. Luxury destroys more efficiently than war. Cas custodiet ipsos custodes. Who will watch the watchers? Vice deceives us when dressed in the garb of virtue. The gods alone know what kind of wife a man will have. A woman is most merciless when shame goads on her hate. Bad men hate sin through fear of punishment, good men hate sin through their love of virtue. There is hardly a case in which the dispute was not caused by a woman. Many commit the same crime with a very different result. One bears a cross for his crime, another a crown. It is sheer madness to live in want in order to be wealthy when you die. All wish to possess knowledge, but few, comparatively speaking, are willing to pay the price. Today there's more fellowship among snakes than among mankind. Wild beasts spare those with similar markings. Pray for a healthy mind in a healthy body. The love of money grows as the money itself grows. When talent fails, indignation writes the verse. Integrity is praised, and starves. We deem those happy who, from the experience of life, have learned to bear its ills, without being overcome by them. Nothing is more intolerable than a wealthy woman. One gets a cross for his crime, the other a crown. Honesty is praised and left in the cold. There is nothing worse than words of kindness that lie. If you are capable of submitting to insult, you ought to be insulted. Many individuals have, like uncut diamonds, shining qualities beneath a rough exterior. In the present state of the world it is difficult not to write lampoons. Now we suffer the evils of a long peace, Luxury more cruel than war broods over us and avenges a conquered world. Never does nature say one thing and wisdom another. We are all easily taught to imitate what is base and depraved. Lat. Docils imitantes turpibus ac pravis omnes summus. This precept descended from heaven, know thyself. It is but the weak and little mind that rejoices in revenge. Luxury is more deadly than any foe. Some men make fortunes, but not to enjoy them, for, blinded by avarice, they live to make fortunes. Give up all hope of peace so long as your mother-in-law is alive. The only path to a tranquil life is through virtue. Lat. Semita cert tranquilli per virtutum patit unica vitae. Remorse is the fruit of crime. Rare indulgence produces greater pleasure. Luck often raises vulgarity to a high position, to create mirth for the beholders. When did reason ever direct our desires or our fears? Rarely do we meet in one combined, a beauteous body and a virtuous mind. The dowry, not the wife, is the object of attraction. Virtue is the only and true nobility. Lat. Nobilitas sola est ac unica virtus. All things may be bought in Rome with money. Dare to do things worthy of imprisonment if you mean to be of consequence. All wish to be learned, but no one is willing to pay the price. Vice can deceive under the guise and shadow of virtue. It is not easy for men to rise whose qualities are thwarted by poverty. The only gain from the friendship of the great is a fine dinner. Nobody ever became depraved all at once. Lat. Nemo repent fut turpissimus. Conscience, the executioner, shaking her secret scourge. No other protection is wanting, provided you are under the guidance of prudence. To gain a livelihood at the expense of all that makes life worth the having. To have slaved so many years for nothing. Nothing is more audacious than these women. When detected, they assume anger, and take courage from the very crime itself. Be gentle with the young. Remote though your farm may be, it's something to be the lord of one green lizard and free. There's no effrontery like that of a woman caught in the act. Her very guilt inspires her with wrath and insolence. Peace visits not the guilty mind. Be rich for yourself and poor to your friends. One has no protecting power save prudence. Lat. Nullum numen habs si sit prudentia. Wisdom overcomes fortune. The thirst after fame is greater than that after virtue, for who embraces virtue if you take away its rewards? Whenever fortune wishes to joke, she lifts people from what is humble to the highest extremity of affairs. They whose sole bliss is eating can give but that one brutish reason why they live. A lucky man is rarer than a white crow. Nature and wisdom always say the same. Pleasures are enhanced by a moderate indulgence. Have the courage to do something which deserves transportation if you want to be somebody. Dedicate one's life to truth. Those things please more, which are more expensive. Do you expect, forsooth, that a mother will hand down to her children principles which differ from her own? Many suffer from the incurable disease of writing, and it becomes chronic in their sick minds. Men who ape the saint and play the sinner. Yes, know thyself, in great concerns or small, be this thy care, for this, my friend, is all. Some men make money not for the sake of living, but ache in the blindness of greed and live just for their fortune's sake. Few people can distinguish the genuinely good from the reverse. Examples of vicious courses practiced in a domestic circle corrupt more readily and more deeply when we behold them in persons in authority. Rarely they rise by virtue's aid who lie plunged in the depth of helpless poverty. Let the straight-limbed laugh at the club-footed, the white-skinned at the blackamoor. The abject pleasure of an abject mind and hence so dear to poor weak womankind. Lat. Vindicta nemo magis gaudet, quam femina. The care of a large estate is an unpleasant thing. For whoever meditates a crime is guilty of the deed. A third heir seldom profits by ill-gotten wealth. Many commit the same crimes with a very different result. One bears a cross for his crime, another a crown. When the mischief is done, the door is shut. There is no reliance to be placed on appearance. The face, not the woman, is the attraction. A rare bird upon the earth and very much like a black swan. An excess of hoarded wealth is the death of many. No one ever became thoroughly bad in one step. The love of popularity holds you in a vice. Honesty's praised, then left to freeze. There are many things which may not be uttered by men in threadbare coats. The noiseless foot of tune steals swiftly by, and ere we dream of manhood, age is nigh. Let him love none and be by none beloved. No God is absent where prudence dwells. There is never a lawsuit but a woman is at the bottom of it. From where can your authority and license as a parent come from, when you who are old, do worse things? The greatest hardship of poverty is that it tends to make men ridiculous. Cas custodiet ipsos custodes. Who will watch the watchers? Revenge is always the weak pleasure of a little and narrow mind. Death alone discloses how insignificant are the puny bodies of men. The greatest respect is owed to a child. Every great house is full of haughty servants. When a man's life is at stake, no delay is too long. Lat. Nulla unquam de mort cunctatio longa est. For the gods, instead of what is most pleasing, will give what is most proper. Man is dearer to them than he is to himself. Sit mens sana in corpore sano, a healthy mind in a healthy body. She knows no difference twixt head and privities who devours immense oysters at midnight. Our prayers should be for a sound mind in a healthy body. Lat. Orandum est ut sit mens sana in corpore sano. Never does nature say one thing and wisdom another. Variant, wisdom and nature. Are they not the same? Variant, nature and wisdom always speak alike. There is great unanimity among the dissolute. Lat. Magna inter moles concordia. Be, as many now are, luxurious to yourself, parsimonious to your friends. Lat. Esto, ut nunc multi, dives tibi pauper amicis. Of the woes of unhappy poverty, none is more difficult to bear than that it heaps men with ridicule. Wisdom is the conqueror of fortune. Lat. Victrix fortuni sapientia. Who watches the watchman? Seldom do people discern eloquence under a threadbare cloak. The same dish cooked over and over again wears out the irksome life of the teacher. To lay down one's life for the truth. The tongue is the worst part of a bad servant, writing in the incurable itch that possesses many. A rare bird on this earth, like nothing so much as a black swan. The examples of vice at home corrupt us more quickly and easily than others, since they steal into our minds under the highest authority. The grape becomes tinted from the grape it comes in contact with. The skillful class of flatterers praise the discourse of an ignorant friend and the face of a deformed one. It is a wretched thing to live on the fame of others. Beasts of like kind will spare those of kindred spots. The traveler with empty pockets will sing in the thief's face. Who is to guard the guards themselves? Everything in Rome has its price. Generally, common sense is rare in the higher rank. One globe seemed all too small for the youthful Alexander. Tears ready to do duty at a minute's notice. No one ever suddenly became depraved. Only death reveals what a nothing the body of man is. Everything is Greek, when it is more shameful to be ignorant of Latin. A hairy body, and arms stiff with bristles, give promise of a manly soul. When your armor is on, it is too late to retreat. Censure pardons the ravens but rebukes the doves. The innocent are punished and the wicked escape. Fortune can, for her pleasure, fools advance, and toss them on the wheels of chance. Lost money is bewailed with deeper sighs than friends, or kindred, and with louder cries. An undying hatred, and a wound never to be healed. The arrows are from her dowry. The fisherman could perhaps be bought for less than the fish. He who wants to get rich quickly. Virtue offers the only path in this life that leads to tranquility. A man who has nothing can whistle in a robber's face. Wisdom triumphs over chance. Drooping along the ground the vine misses its widowed elm. Revenge, we find, the abject pleasure of an abject mind. He will be the last to discover the disgrace of his house. Nature, in giving tears to men, confessed that he had a tender heart. This is our noblest quality. It is a wretched thing to rest upon the fame of others, lest, the supporting pillar being removed, the superstructure should collapse in ruin. By his own verdict no guilty man was ever acquitted. The guilty are alarmed and turn pale at the slightest thunder. See the effect of commercial intercourse. The itch of scribbling. Men who only live to eat. A man's word is believed just to the extent of the wealth in his coffer stored. Make all fair allowance for the mistakes of youth. A third heir seldom enjoys what has been dishonestly acquired. Many have an irresistible itch for writing. What man have you ever seen who was contented with one crime only? Of what use are pedigrees, or to be thought of noble blood, or the display of family portraits, O Ponticus? Astrology reveals the will of the gods. The greatest reverence is due to a child. If you are contemplating a disgraceful act, despise not your child's tender years. Trust not to outward show. Lat. Fronti nulla fides. Here we all live in a state of ambitious poverty. Two things only the people actually desire, bread and circuses. For whoever meditates a crime is guilty of the deed. Lat. Nam celis intra esse tacitum cogitat ullum, facti crimen habet. No man becomes bad all at once. The sweetest pleasure soonest cloy, and its best flavor temperance gives to joy. Do not pluck the beard of a dead lion. Lat. Nolli barbum velera mortuo leoni. The pupil will eclipse his tutor, I warrant. Avarice increases with the increasing pile of gold. The traveler without money will sing before the robber. Lat. Cantabit vacuus coram latrone viator. The love of pelf increases with the pelf. Lat. Crescit amor nummi quantum ipsa pecunia crescit. Autumn is the harvest of greedy death. O poverty, thy thousand ills combined sink not so deep into the generous mind, as the contempt and laughter of mankind. Revenge is sweeter than life itself. So think fools. Nature confesses that she has bestowed on the human race hearts of softest mold, in that she has given us tears. Wisdom is the winner over good luck. No nice extreme a true Italian knows, but bid him go to hell he goes. In their palate alone is their reason of existence. Lat. In solo vivendi causa palata est. To eat at another's table is your ambition's height. Lat. Bona summa putes, aliena vivere quadra. No one becomes depraved all at once. No one ever became extremely wicked suddenly. Hold it the greatest sin to prefer existence to honor, and for the sake of life to lose the reasons for living. We are too quick to imitate depraved examples. But grant the wrath of heaven be great, 'tis slow. Lat. Ut sit magna tamen cert lenta ira deorum est. A pauper traveler will sing before a beggar. What is more cruel than a tyrant's ear? Great power which incites great envy, hurls some men to destruction, they are drowned in a long splendid stream of honors. The venal herd. Lat. Venali pecus. To eat off another man's plate. To live in another's expense. I only feel, but want the power to paint. I will have this done, so I order it done, let my will replace reasoned judgment. The grape gains its purple tinge by looking at another grape. Lat. Uvac conspecta liverum ducit abuva. Every crime will bring remorse to the men who committed it. Travelers with naught sing in the robber's face. There's a lust in men, no charm can tame, of loudly publishing our neighbor's shame. The Sicilian tyrants never devised a greater punishment than envy. They do not easily rise whose abilities are repressed by poverty at home. Lat. Haud facile emergent quorum virtutibus obstat residential angusta domi. The doings of men, their prayers, fear, wrath, pleasure, delights, and recreations, are the subject of this book. Rare is the union of beauty and purity. Lat. Rara est addio concordia formi ac pudicitiae. The act of God injures no one. What day is so festal it fails to reveal some theft? Of what avail are pedigrees? He who meditates a crime secretly within himself has all the guilt of the act. Savage bears agree with one another. One man meets an infamous punishment for that crime which confers a diadem on others. Few tyrants go down to the infernal regions by a natural death. Savage bears keep at peace with one another. Lat. Savis inter esse convenit ursus. Indignation leads to the making of poetry. Lat. Facit indignatio versum. Money lost is bewailed with unfeigned tears. Lat. Plorator lacrimis emissa pecunia veris. I will it, I order it, let my will stand for a reason. Those who do not wish to kill any one, wish they had the power. Lat. Et canalant occidere quemquam posse volunt. To keep up as good a cuisine as your father. The smell of money is good, come whence it may. Alluding to Vespasian's tax on ordure. All wish to know, but few the price will pay. Seek not to shine by borrowed lights alone. Whatever is committed from a bad example, is displeasing even to its author. No one ever reached the worst of a vice at one leap. A child is owed the greatest respect. If you ever have something disgraceful in mind, don't ignore your son's tender years. No man ever became very wicked all at once. Dare to do something worthy of transportation and a prison, if you mean to be anybody. An incurable itch for scribbling takes possession of many, and grows inveterate in their insane breasts. All art's his own, the hungry Greekling counts, and bid him mount the skies he mounts. He who wishes to become rich wishes to become so immediately. The smell of profit is clean and sweet, whatever the source. Those who desire to become rich, desire it at once. Poverty is bitter, but it has no harder pang than that it makes men ridiculous. The finishing stroke of all sorrow. Even savage animals can agree among themselves. He never sought to stem the current of a statesman who accommodates his views to public opinion. Led on by impulse, and blind and ungovernable desires. It is sheer folly when all is gone to lose even one's passage money. When great assurance accompanies a bad undertaking, such is often mistaken for confiding sincerity by the world at large. Who'd bear to hear the Gracchi chide sedition? Satire is what closes Saturday night. Man, wretched man, whene'er he stoops to sin, feels, with the act, a strong remorse within. Bid the hungry Greek go to heaven, he will go. Lat. Graeculus Assyriens in coelum, just eris, ibit. But with what incessant and grievous ills is old age surrounded. Be a gentleman farmer. Limits the Romans' anxieties to two things, bread and games. Like warmed-up cabbage served at each repast, the repetition kills the wretch at last. Trust to a plank, draw precarious breath, at most 7 inches from the jaws of death. Such men as fortune raises from a mean estate to the highest elevation by way of a joke. Nature never says one thing, wisdom another. Lat. Nunquam aliud natura aliud sapientia dicit. The abuse of cabmen in a block. The man whose purse is empty can cheerfully sing before the robber. This is my wish, this is my command, my pleasure is my reason. Let nothing offensive to the ear or the eye enter these thresholds, within which youth dwells.